Hello everybody, I'm Roxy and this is Write Me BS. So my camera has revived, yay! The only problem though is that I left my charger at another location and I don't know when I'm going to be able to retrieve it. I have a full battery, so let's get on with this. I had recorded this video already, but it came out so damn unfocused, so I had to re-record it, and also something else happened. So I'm doing a 20 in 20 challenge for December, so from the 1st to the 20th of December I'm going to be reading a book a day. I found out that a booktuber that I really like, Ange from Books in Pages, I think it's called, I forget the name, but Ange, she's doing a 30 in 31 for December, which is really cool. And I would really like to participate in that, but I'm going to be flying to Europe on the 24th of December. I'm only planning on bringing 2 books for the month, that's it, because of space and because I'm planning on buying a lot of books there. So although I would love to participate in 30 in 31, I'm not going to be able to do it, but I will also be engaging in conversation with the 30 in 31 challenge because I really want to discuss like the books I'm reading, and I think engaging in Twitter is one of the most exciting things about community challenges. I saw a lot of people doing this, so I'm very excited, but I cannot do 30 in 31. I'm only going to do 20 in 20s. I know it's not as exciting, but I'm excited. It's the first time I'm going to do it. So this is my TBR. Let's get on with it. First I have a few bind-ups, so this is an Oscar Wilde, Barnes & Noble's, letterbound. I'm going to be reading The Importance of Being Earnest and Lady Werdermeer's, I think, Werdermeer's, I never know how to pronounce that lady's name, fan. That one I'm going to be seeing in London live, so I'm very happy about that, and I thought I would give it a read. I haven't read any of those, and I love Oscar Wilde, so it's crazy when you think about it. I also have Tender is the Night by Scott Fitzgerald. I love Scott Fitzgerald. Every single thing I've read by him, I've loved. This also includes The Last Tycoon, but I'm only going to read Tender is the Night. I honestly don't remember what Tender is the Night is about because I've read the synopsis for all his work, so I don't remember particularly about this one, but it's supposed to be like one of his best works alongside The Great Gatsby, so I'm very excited. I also have this gorgeous book. Look at this. Penguin Deluxe edition of 3 Novels of New York by Edith Wharton. And I'm going to be reading The Age of Innocence just because it's her most famous novel. And I've only read non-fiction by her. I've read The Art of Fiction, which was so good. Finally, I have an H.G. Wells that has 7 novels, but I'm going to be reading The War of the Worlds. I don't know why I chose this one instead of The Time Machine, because I also want to read The Time Machine so badly. But I think it's because the movie, as a child, had such an impact on me. And you can say a lot of things about the movie, but just the thought of it and the story behind how the War of the Worlds was presented was like, I found out about that and I couldn't stop thinking about it, and so I want to read this novel first. Now let's go to the individual books. I have Damned by Chuck Palahniuk. It's about a girl who is 13, I think, and she goes to hell and creates a ruckus there. I really love Chuck Palahniuk, and I keep saying that although I've only read 2 of his novels. I have like 10 of his books because every time I see a cheap Palahniuk book, it's like, okay, I'm going to get it because I love Palahniuk, but then I haven't read them, so there you go. Then I have Harvest by Jim Crace. This is not a very well-known book, but it sounds fascinating, and it was nominated for the Goldsmith Prize. But I'm also doing a challenge related to the Goldsmith Prize, and if you would like to check out the video for that challenge, it is here. And I'm going to link it down below, just in case. And also all of the books I'm mentioning, because I do that now. Anyways, this is about a small village, and 3 people come to the village, 2 men and a woman. They apparently are witches and wizards. Apparently, we don't know what is happening because like a plague or something befalls the village, and I don't know, it sounds very interesting. I also got a great deal for it, so I'm excited. Another Goldsmith Prize nominee, Lurid and Cute by Adam Thirlwell, and I remember being obsessed by the cover in Spanish, but because it's in English I wanted to get it in English. Then I found out it was called Lurid and Cute. I thought it was a fine name, but it wasn't as catchy and as bewitching as the Spanish version. But either way, I still want to read this. This is about a guy who wakes up one day on a bed that's not his own with a woman I believe he doesn't know, and she's either dead or starts bleeding, but like it's crazy. And yet another Goldsmith Prize nominee. What are the odds? Staten Island by Tom McCarthy. This was kind of well known on BookTube, like a little before I got on BookTube, and it's about you, and it's dystopian, and it has these beautiful end papers. Then I have Margaret the First by Daniel Dutton. This was the favorite of a lot of people last year and this year as well. I think a lot of people have loved it. And it's a very short novel about a writer called Margaret the First, and it's supposed to be super well written. Like, Daniel Dutton really does a great job of capturing this woman's voice. It's been so bewitching that I've heard a lot of people say that because of this book they want to check out Margaret's writing, and I think that's fabulous. Then I have Me and Kaminski by Daniel Kehlmann. Daniel Kehlmann, let me tell you, was the author of F, which is a novel that I absolutely adored, about three brothers that are abandoned by their father at a carnival, and it's dark and witty and funny. Well, this is about a painter, and I don't know if he's muse or associate or pupil, but it's like a painter and another guy. I want to read everything that Daniel Kehlmann has done because he's amazing. He writes so well and so interestingly. He also wrote Fame and Measuring the World, which I don't have, but if I love this, as I think I will, I'm going to get those, believe. Then I have Brooklyn by Colm Tóibín. Colm Tóibín is an author that I want to read so much from. All of his novels, well, if not all, most of his novels really called to me, but I got my hands on Brooklyn first. I heard a bit of this read on the Penguin podcast, which is great, and they had an interview with Colm Tóibín. I'm going to link it down below because it's fascinating. And aside from realizing that audiobooks aren't really for me, I also was really hooked by the premise of Brooklyn, which is about an Irish girl who goes to Brooklyn and tries to make it, and it's historical fiction, and it's supposed to be very subtle and very beautiful. Botchan by Natsume Soseki, one of the first truly modern Japanese writers. I have a selection of essays by him. His most famous work is Kokoro, but I'm going to start with Botchan because this was recommended specifically to me, and it's about a teacher, and I always like to read about teachers because it strikes a chord in me. I also have a book by Yukio Mishima, another one of my favorite Japanese authors, and authors period, not just Japanese. I love everything that I've read by him, and this is The Temple of the Golden Pavilion, which is about a guy who becomes obsessed with this temple, and it's based on an actual historical event, but it's not historical fiction. It doesn't aim to be accurate, it just draws inspiration from it. It's one of his best known works, and I really want to check it out. Then I have A Girl is a Half-Formed Thing by Aimer McBride, and this was the winner of the Bailey's Prize for Fiction. It was also nominated, and I don't know if the winner of the Goldsmith Prize. It's about the relationship of a girl with her brother who has suffered a brain injury. Then I also have Beetlebone, another winner of the Goldsmith Prize. Again, what are the odds? This is by Kevin Barry, who's actually producing a lot of noise in the Irish literary scene nowadays. And I read an interview by him, and it was fascinating. This is about John Lennon going on a trip to find like the perfect island to organize a festival, I think. I'm not 100% sure. Like with most of these books, I'm never 100% sure. Then I have, another bind-up. I had forgotten about this one. It's Death in Venice and Other Stories. I'm only going to be reading Death in Venice, that I think is about a painter that becomes obsessed with a young man, and it's very twisted and dark and tragic, and I have wanted to read Thomas Mann for quite a while. Then I have a book that I think is going to be quite summery, and that's Hot Milk by Deborah Levi. And look at this, like the picture, like it's so vacational. I might pick this up first just because it's been so hot in here in Chile. I don't know a lot about this book aside that it's about a young anthropologist, and she has a tormented relationship with her mother, who is sick, and now a young hot doctor comes into the picture, I think. I may be lying, but I'm trying not to. I think that is the case. The Chess Game by Stefan Zweig. So he's a very important German, I think, author, and I have 2 books by him, and I want to read like 100 books by him because he's very prolific. I'm going to start with this one. Now, this one is strange because it's very short, but the subject itself seems like it could do for a very long novel. So it's about this guy who's really good at chess, and then he gets beaten by like a really young player in the States, and so there is like some like competitive tension there. And the last one, I'm so happy because this came in relatively in time compared to like everything else, because one thing you need to know about my postal service is that it sucks. Sometimes it works perfectly and I will get my books like in 2 weeks, but sometimes literally I will have to wait 2 months. It makes no sense. It's completely arbitrary. I've gotten things that I've ordered 2 weeks prior, but well, I'm still waiting for things that I've ordered like 2 months prior, so I'm like, there is no logic to this system. It got here and I'm very happy because it's gorgeous! The Lesser Bohemians by McBride. It's about a young Irish actress that goes to London and falls in love with an older English actor, not author. And I'm always fascinated by those sort of relationships. So that's it. That's my 20 in 20. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm thinking of doing a wrap-up every 4 books. No, every 5 books, so they will be 4 wrap-ups. I think that's the best option. Yeah, everything is down below, including the 30 in 31 days announcement video, so you can check that out. So that's it, see you next time. By the way, as a parenthesis, let me tell you, I read 3 books now, I think, that I've described in X way when I was saying I was going to read them. And then I read them and I'm like, this was nothing or barely anything like what I said. And I'm like, I'm going to have to explain that, like, forget everything I said about this book. It's not about that, it's actually about this. I will also be engaging the traffic, guys, my god.